Unless you guys have been living in a rock, under a rock, your head in the sand, today's Email Never Sleeps is all about AI and email marketing. Lots of topics around AI happening in the email community. And there's really a person that I'm so glad I have on today is Elizabeth Jacoby. She's the founder of Mocha Bear Marketing, but she's also an industry veteran. She's been around for many, many years, both client side and agency side. And when we got together, I told her, I'm like, look, I have a difference of opinion maybe about AI and email marketing. But before we jump into the topic, Elizabeth, give us a little bit about your background and tell us a little bit tell our audience sort of your experience.
Sure. So I have been in the email marketing industry for over 20 years. I've worked for a few agencies. I started out client side, then moved to the ESP and agency side, and I started my consulting business in 2017.
Nice.
And I'm really excited to talk AI because I have some definite opinions and it's changed over time.
Totally. No, I 100% get it. And everybody, forever you guys listening, Elizabeth being in the industry for 20 plus years, I've been in it for 24 years. You're talking about a lot of experience. We've seen a lot of changes in this industry over the last 20 plus years. From Google Wave, if some of you guys don't know what that is, look it up, on up to now, the use of AI in email. And before we get started, let me just give my opinion because I want you to maybe shed some light. I think AI is an interesting sort of bright, shiny tool today. I use it sometimes to help with my voice and tone when it comes to writing content. We have been using sort of AI for the last few years in all of the ESPs. Do I think it's a replacement? Do I think certain companies are going to switch to AI altogether when it comes to doing their email programs? No, not at all. I don't see that. I'm fairly bearish on AI. I've been doing a lot of reading, but Elizabeth, sounds like you're pretty bullish, right? On it. You seems like you kind of like it and you've done your research. So let's talk about this. Tell me what and how AI is positive for you in our space.
Sure. So I agree with you that it's not a replacement for people. And actually, I thought that it would write copy way better than I could.
Yeah.
When I tested it, I proved myself wrong that
Yeah.
it could not write copy better. So I view AI as sort of like an assistant. I know they have all these AI assistants, but I feel like it does assist me. You mentioned the tone of something. So I had a client recently that wanted the copy to sound a little bit more authentic and warmer. And I utilized AI to kind of give me that rewrite.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's not a replacement. I think it's more of like a starting place when it comes for
Okay.
copy.
Okay.
But I really have been impressed in the past year that I've been using it,
Mhm.
how beneficial it is and how helpful it is. I would say mostly in a time saving
Okay.
capacity than kind of as a replacement.
So I see a lot of companies, specifically ESPs, coming out saying we've put generative AI into our tool, and typically that sort of results in people writing cold emails. Now, regardless of what your opinion is of cold emails, right? There's different camps on all of this. It's not really AI, right? It's just somebody that's writing copy, and like you said, writing copy. But the other thing is, I have not seen AI. At least I haven't seen it in a case study in something that's longer term that says AI completely outperformed that of work by humans. And that's where I sort of say I'm a negative Nelly on it. I know AI is phenomenal in other areas, but in email, I don't know. I just have a problem with it. I really truthfully do. And we throw in these terms. We use generative AI in our tool, right? It's like, no, you don't. Sorry, you don't, right? Stop jumping on that sort of copy bandwagon. What have you seen or what have you done that has been extremely positive and you think is going to have a long tail impact in the use of AI and email?
Yeah, so I agree with you on the copy side.
Mhm.
And when I did do like a mini case study, I mean, it was just a couple of clients.
Yeah.
The AI version did not win when you went far down the funnel and the metrics.
Yeah.
However, recently I started using it for data analysis.
Okay.
Uh, and that to me was a huge time saver.
Cool.
Now, I could have manipulated my spreadsheet, 50 times to get to the same data,
Right.
but throwing it into AI and then asking it a bunch of questions
Mm.
that I was looking for my analysis and, knowing what clients wanted and, also just playing around with it. That to me was super beneficial. And I actually think in most cases, that's where a lot of people will start to utilize AI, because you can ask it questions about the data. Now, you do have to be careful and make sure that what it gives you is correct,
Right.
but it
Right.
still was very interesting to see that I could utilize AI
Right.
to get me information for an analysis that I wanted to write.
So it gave you the insight, right? Or at least looking at the data and giving you insight, maybe it released or gave you something that maybe you wouldn't have seen or a trend. But did that help in writing like recommendations for that client, whether it's a testing thing or a change that should be made? That's kind of done up here, right? Like you see the insight and then you
Yeah,
recommendation because I haven't seen it
it
write recommendations yet.
it did not, well, it gave me like soft recommendations, but I didn't
Right.
necessarily agree because the AI tool doesn't know like the reason the client sent 10 emails in
Right.
May versus
Right.
two was
Right.
due to a business
Right.
decision, not because they were sending less emails.
Sure. Okay.
Uh, so I do think that there's still room for improvement, but
Mhm.
it did point out things to me that would have taken me a long time to get to on my own, such
Okay.
as, when you do A/B testing, you are
Mhm.
seeing X% more in revenue. Tuesday was your worst performing day, but you sent the majority of the emails on Tuesday. Could
Right.
I have got into that myself? Yes. Would it have taken me time and would I have thought of all these things? Probably not. I would have missed some stuff.
Okay, so I'm 100% agree with you there. I've done a little bit of AI work when it comes to data, and I'm going to agree with you. I think some of the insights are great. Maybe again, call me old school dinosaur guy that's been in the email for as long as I have. Sometimes I don't mind manipulating the data. It makes me
Yeah.
feel more engaged in it. But if it's going to save me time, and like I'm sure you charge clients to do the work, or vice versa, right? Like for me, saving time is definitely more important. But there's a caveat. You need to you need to proof the AI insights,
Yes.
right? Because it's only looking at the data and it's not necessarily looking at the brand or the things like you mentioned that they're doing and understanding that, and the reasoning behind sort of that. All right, so I'm going to change the subject to image generation in AI. So I was turned on. I've played around with a lot of these image, through Bard and a variety of different other images. And then I ran across a website the other day. I'm not going to mention it. I never name and shame. That was literally, you can tell it was made with AI images, AI content, and it was really, really cheesy. Like I find like the images of human beings that AI makes is kind of creepy, right? Like
Yes.
it's always just sort of weird. Do you have clients or do you know people that use images that are generated from AI, and have they seen or you know
I
anything about it? Like, how does that work?
so I don't know of anyone that is using the image creation at this point other than kind of playing around with it.
Right.
I did use it recently for my own email
Okay.
and I liked the image. It wasn't exactly what I would have wanted. The
Mhm.
one thing that I do find cool is that I was able to change the colors of what it sent me. So I could say, please change, the HTML color this to this, and
Okay.
it did it for me.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
I thought was cool. But I agree with you. Some of the images are creepy. I feel like it was less creepy and weird looking, or more creepy and weird looking a year
Yeah.
ago when I started testing it than it
Yeah.
is today.
Yeah.
But I don't know of anyone yet who's really using it for true image creation and using the images.
Yeah. Because the site that I went to was highly reminiscent of the Hunger Games people, right? And like the city or whatever. And I was like, a dude with like this, and
Yeah.
then you had like some weird hairstyle, and he was wearing like a green and yellow outfit or something like I don't know. But it was real. It was like, okay, that's a little over the edge for me. Do you have a favorite tool that was like, what did you create? What AI image generation tool do you remember? As if not,
So I was one connected to Chat GPT and I can't
okay.
remember which one.
I know, yeah, I know that one. I played around with the
Yeah.
BART one, and it's funny because you can like ask it to make it more extreme, right? And
Yeah.
it's kind of kind of creepy. So
You know, on the one topic of
yeah,
images, I was writing an article recently and I needed to have graphs. And
yeah,
I did ask it to graph it for me. And then I
okay,
also asked it to change the color of the graph to be on branding for myself.
yeah,
And that was perfect. But it
okay,
was my Excel sheet, I
right,
told it what to do.
right,
So, but what it sent me,
yeah,
it's in the case study. Like I didn't have to manipulate any of
yeah.
it.
Our technology person here at iPost loves GPT. He uses it a lot for programming and API scripting languages and coding and a variety of different things that he sees a ton of value. I'm not a technical person at all. In fact, I know enough to be dangerous, and that's about it. Do you use AI in email for like technical purposes or
I have not, but I know people who are for coding and that kind of stuff. No, I have not. I've really only used it for uh email copy,
okay,
to help with the tone,
okay,
data analysis, and
okay,
then rewrites. So
okay.
I use Grammarly and I have for years, and now they have AI kind of included to rewrite
They
and
do.
shorten things.
They do.
So that I do, I really like that.
Yeah.
And I've played around with a bunch of them. I've
Yeah.
played around with Jasper and a few others.
I have two. I have two.
So
Yeah. The one thing I use when I read copy, and especially because I read a lot about blogs about our industry and stuff, and I could tell, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a sixth sense, maybe whatever. I know when it's been written in AI, right? Like I
mhm,
have this sneaky suspicion because it's very devoid of tone, or they haven't given it the right prompts, or it's extremely clinical, or it's something that was written about 3 years ago. And that's kind of where my old mandish, type of, sort of
yeah.
kicks in. All right. So we got about 4 or 5 minutes left. And I want to sort of dive in to where you feel the future of AI and email responsibly, where it should go. What do you think we're going to be talking about maybe a year or two from now in A? And if you don't have the answer, I can sort of prompt, but you tell me like what
Yeah.
do you think we're going to be
I
doing?
mean, I want to hear your opinion too, but I
Mhm.
sort of feel, I mean, AI is everywhere.
Yeah.
Email, is only one portion of it.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like in the tech space, email has always been kind of the leader of things and sort of willing to kind of try and test things out. So
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of the innovation around AI when it comes to marketing in general will be coming from the email side.
Mhm.
Um, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I think we still have to be careful with AI.
My opinion is this, and I might probably will get a lot of people that will disagree with me. I think we're going to be in the same place we are today, 2 or 3 years from now. And the reason being is because we keep talking about the same stuff. I learned this term from a colleague of mine many years ago about this industry has echolalia. We love to talk about the same thing. And we've been
Yes.
talking about the same thing for years and years and years, right? We can't sometimes even get the fundamentals right of how to align SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, and all the
That is
deliverability stuff
true.
and the things that we're doing, or the use and defining of personalization, or double opt-in versus confirmed opt-in, and are they the same thing? And I've been talking about this stuff. I'm sure you've been thinking and talking about it and, chatting with your clients for years now. And we're going to be talking about AI and the use of AI. But I got to tell you, it's a conference draw, right? Like if we're going to have a whole panel of people standing up there talking about AI and the use of AI and all this whiz bang fancy stuff, we might continue to lose focus on the fundamentals of how email's changing, right? Email is changing.
Yeah.
I just think we're going to be in the same place in the same time. And there's going to be a whole new crop of people asking the exact same questions, right? Around like, how can I use it?
I,
I don't know what you think, but
I don't disagree with you. I feel like in
okay.
email we have been talking about the same thing for many years,
Yeah,
and I think AI will have a little bit more innovation
yeah,
when it comes to email. But yeah, I
sure.
would agree. We're going to be talking about this in 2 years, 5 years. I don't know if it'll get the same draw and attention in
Mm-hmm.
2 to 5 years. Right now, that seems to be the hot topic. My inbox is full of webinars on AI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what everyone's talking about now.
Yeah. And you mentioned Grammarly before. Shout out. I've got horrible, horrible grammar. I've got horrible, horrible. I mean, I can write a ton, but Grammarly has saved my life. Like
Oh,
literally.
same here.
Their
Yeah.
AI stuff is um, sort of evolving. Um, so we got a couple minutes left, and I want to pose a scenario to you. Um, and we have people that listen to this session, these podcasts, either that have just gotten in the industry or been in it for a couple of years, or we've got people in higher executive based positions. The gamut is sort of like your lists, everybody that are on client side, right? There's a whole group,
Yeah.
separate segment of people that listen to this. And I'm wondering if you had a minute alone in a room with all these people and you had to talk about AI, what would you want them to take away? What would you say to them?
I would say that this is something that you need to adopt and figure out how to use it to
Mm-hmm.
benefit your own job,
Mm-hmm.
because even though it is the, shiny new thing,
Yep.
it's here. And I think it just needs to be embraced by people at all different levels in the industry.
My advice is very simple. Everybody needs to take a chill pill when it comes to AI, right? It's there. We can play with it. We have the beauty of testing it to whether or not it's going to make you more revenue, more money, more engagement, more subscribers, whatever your KPIs are. Literally just take a chill pill and test into it. Don't think that it's going to replace your job as a copywriter or replace your job as a technical person or replace your job as a designer, right? This is not happening in our industry. It might be happening in other industries, and I don't care. I only care about email. My biggest takeaway is play with it, test it, learn from it, but don't think it's going to be like the best thing in the whole wide world like Gmail was years and years ago, where it fundamentally changed the landscape of email. And I don't care if you're brand new, 3 weeks in this industry, or 25 years and a CMO of a multi-billion-dollar company, you have to take your head out of the AI sand and sort of learn as to how it's going to adapt in your world. And I take more of an extreme view when it comes to that, and I have no problem in telling somebody that and feeling confident about it.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so so everybody, look, Elizabeth has been around for many, many years. At the end, we're going to put her deets on this podcast. You can find her on LinkedIn. You can learn more about what Mocha Bear Marketing does. They do a lot, especially for our industry, in our industry. And I think you've got a really solid person who understands email at a fundamental level. And that's you, Elizabeth. And I've
Thank you.
admired sort of your work for years. I know we've met at conferences before, and gosh, I just wanted to thank you for coming here, taking part in this, and really spreading your knowledge around for everybody, for our audience. I really,
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of this. This was great. I always enjoy
yeah.
talking to you.
Yeah, and it's been fun. And so everybody, look out next time for our next Email Never Sleeps podcast, vidcast. I don't even know what to call this thing. Is there like a right way to call this? I know that we're on and we do this, but I just call it a session, and it's syndicated out through a variety of different things. But look, it's been fun. Thank you again, Elizabeth. Thank you everybody for supporting Email Never Sleeps, and we'll see you on the other side of email marketing. Take care, everybody.